Hi guys, happy Sunday. I hope that you all enjoyed some delicious Anzac bickies yesterday. It's been 3 days since we shot our video of how to begin your own sourdough starter. So coming off from Thursday, we want to come back now and actually do a bit of a video of how to feed your starter. Okay, so here's the jar that we fed 3 days ago that we started. You can see we've actually got some wonderful activity happening inside the jar where it's nice and bubbly because this dough is now alive. Okay, so we've got some clear signs of life in there. The microorganisms, enzymes and bacteria getting to work on the starches, which are the natural sugars in our flour, okay, and building gassiness in our dough, okay. Now to feed this, what we're going to do is you're going to feed this dough twice a day, okay, leaving the dough in its jar out at room temperature, okay. You're going to do that twice a day for at least a couple of weeks. And it's really, really key that you do this because that's what's actually going to start to build up the activity and get it really, really strong and active so that in a few weeks' time, this will be ready to actually use to make bread with, okay. The first thing you need to do, which we've already done actually, is you just need to pass your 3-day-old starter through a sieve, okay, through a mesh sieve, and just push that through so that if you did use apple or whether it was some other type of fruit, maybe you crushed up some grapes or some figs or you used a spoon of honey or something, that any skins or seeds or pith can actually be caught out. And we'll remove that from our starter, and then we're going to feed the start the feeding routine. So let's do that now. So we've done the seeding. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to pop our water into the bowl. Here's our recipe. We need 30 grams of water, 15 grams of that 3-day-old starter, okay, and then 30 grams of flour. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. $30 grams of water, which I've just done a little bit too much. I was a bit heavy-handed there, just a sec. Perfect. Okay, now we've got our starter. So I'll just tar that so it goes back to 0 on our scale. Okay, I'm going to take some of this 3-day-old bubbly starter and pop it into our flour mixture, our water. That's 15 grams. And if we just have a look at this, you can see that it's actually starting to float just a little bit. And what that tells us is that we're starting to build up a little bit of gassiness from the fermentation in the starter. This is called the float test, okay? In a couple more feeds, you're going to start to see that flour mixture, that starter, is going to be able to float right on top, and that's a good indication that it's super, super gassy, okay? Now to that, we're going to add our 30 grams of flour on top. There we go. Okay, and that's our mixture. So we're simply going to stir that all together to a kind of thick paste. Now you might read online different types of percentages of hydration. What does that all mean? Okay, it just means what is the actual relationship of how much water is in your starter compared to the flour. Okay, because we've fed this starter with the same amount of flour to water, 30 grams of flour, 30 grams of water, we've got the same amount, so it's 100% hydrated, this sourdough starter, which makes it nice and easy, okay? But you might find some starters out there like a stiff starter, and that might be a little dry, it'll be more dough-like, okay? So there'll be more flour than water when you feed it. In other times you might find that there'll be quite a wet porridging mixture of a starter, where you might feed it with more water than you would flour, okay? They all work, this is just one way that you can do it, okay? And that's basically it, that's our starter fed, okay? And because we're feeding this twice a day, we're going to need to let this sit for at least 8 to 12 hours in between each feed. So you might have this sit overnight, wake up in the morning, give it a feed, and it'll sit there all day covered in your jar until the evening, 8 to 12 hours later, okay? Before you go to bed, you'll feed it again, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and you'll feed it again. And it's quite good to have somebody else have the responsibility as well as yourself. So if you've got kids at home, you might want to give your son or your daughter a bit of a job. Maybe they do shifts, they can do the morning shift, you do the night shift, and everyone has to look after this little baby and not kill it. Okay, so you're going to continue to do that for another couple of weeks, and we're going to check back with you in about a week's time to see where you're at. Before I go though, you'll notice that there is a bit of starter left over inside of the jar. Okay, now this becomes discarded, okay, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be wasted. You can use this for an abundance of different recipes. Just have a look online. There's wonderful sourdough pancakes, waffles, dumplings, fritters, okay? And on our next blog that's going to come out into our newsletter, we've got a wonderful sourdough cracker recipe that's great with wine and cheese. For isolation particularly. So we'll get that out to you very, very shortly. Please post any questions that you might have in the comments section below, and we'll answer them as quickly as possible. And good luck. Everyone have a great rest of the weekend.